Hi everybody, and welcome to my homestead. I've been putting off doing this video for a while. We've been just super busy, and I've had a lot of people on our Facebook groups ask me about how in the world we're supposed to be doing a homestead in a subdivision on less than 1/4 of an acre. And this video is kind of trying to explain that a little bit. And you're going to hear my dog going crazy because she thinks the whole neighborhood belongs to her. My name is Raylena, and we are in southern Ohio, currently homesteading on a less than 1/4 of an acre in a subdivision. It's a work in progress, but let me show you how we started here, because this is still very much a starting process. And hopefully it will answer some questions for you and maybe even inspire you to start your own. So the biggest thing when we started our homestead was I wanted chickens. And everyone in my family laughs because they never would have thought that of everyone I would want chickens. So we didn't really have an opportune spot for chickens. I tried to put it back here along the back fence. Apparently that's not an appropriate spot according to the township trustees, even though it's the furthest one away from all the neighbors. So we had to put it literally right up against our house almost in order to comply with the permit. So this chicken coop was actually my kids' old full-size play set. I painted it to kind of match the house because, again, township permits, trying to stay compliant. But these were just landscaping timbers, and I've got the tarp wrapped around the front here. So if we walk down through the yard here, hey Gwen, this is kind of the current garden area. Some of it was planned, some of it was not. So the first thing that kind of started all of this was we built this privacy fence. And when we did so, it was to keep Gwen in the yard. She's like spring-loaded. She'll jump straight over a 6-foot fence. And so we built up this privacy fence, and the next summer I start seeing little vines, little recognizable vines peeking out over the top. And I had forgotten that I tried to plant a blackberry bush about 3 years ago, and then we put up the privacy fence because I thought the dogs killed it. And all of a sudden I had blackberries all through here that I could not get to. So my husband, being the loving person that he is, built me a door. So this is the door that he built for me. It covers like 7 privacy panels. So these are my blackberries. It literally goes about 12 feet down this fence line. Come on, Gwen. Look out. So he built me a door so I could get my blackberries. The next thing you know, I wanted a farm. So instead, we decided that I could have garden beds. And this is where I do a thank you shout out, if you will, to Roots and Refuge. Her videos inspired me so much. Until then, I grew up in the country. I grew up I lived in town, but everyone I knew lived on a farm. And I never once thought that you could homestead or even remotely do anything other than like small little gardens in a subdivision or on less than 1/4 of an acre. I never thought that was a possibility. And then I watched her videos, and I binge watched for about 3 days, and it just opened up this entire world that I had no idea even existed. And I've been hooked ever since. And one minute my husband's building me a blackberry door, and the next minute I'm telling him we're getting chickens, and the next minute we're composting, and it just kind of keeps snowballing a little bit. One of these days he'll tell me that's it, we're not going any further, but That hasn't happened yet. So this here is my first garden bed. And just some basic tomatoes. And it's kind of dying back now because it is hot. We're about almost to the end of September here. My zucchini and my squash. My zucchini did great, but my squash, my yellow squash, did not do so well this year. And oh, I finally can see. Oh, look at that. I've been waiting for these to turn red for so long. I feel like I've been waiting forever. I've already got everything ready so I can make salsa and canned salsa. So super excited to see that. So this is just a really basic bed. There was also some kale in there. And I've been starting to pull it up as everything finishes for the season. But it amazed me as a first timer how much food comes off of one plant. I mean, it just blows my mind. This was supposed to be jalapeno. Was planted. Seeds were planted out of a jalapeno, but turned into a banana pepper. I'm not sure. But it is a ton, like a crap ton of peppers on this plant. It just keeps going. This thing has been producing since like April, maybe even May, because I overwintered it in a pot inside, and then I hardied it, and then I brought it out, and it's just been like crazy. I've got jars of dehydrated pepper slices, and I'm going to be using that in my salsa as well. See how it goes. They're not super hot, but they do have a little bit of heat, just not as much as a jalapeno. Super fun to see. So excited. And then we have this monstrosity, which I did not plant. We had no idea what this was. It started under the trampoline, and I recognized the leaves were very similar to my zucchini and my squash, but they were huge, like elephant ear huge. I have this hair that is just like in my face. It's that kind of day. It's a bad hair day. But I told my husband, I said, you can't mow it down. I don't know what it is yet. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And these flowers were here, but they were all male flowers. There was no anything. There was just big, huge yellow flowers. And now it is taking up, it's probably all of 14 feet long across this walkway. And I have a single pumpkin. We finally figured out what it is. So I have a single pumpkin. And then in here somewhere was another one that was trying to grow. Ah, there he is. 14 foot of pumpkin vine. 2 pumpkins. Hopefully next year will be better. That's 2 less pumpkins I have to buy for the kids next month, I guess. So these were the starter beds. So if you're thinking about trying to do this in a subdivision or on a very limited acreage, to let you know what the plan was, is that these beds back here, we were going to add another. Over here is our wood chip compost pile. Over there is the starting plans for my greenhouse. Additional beds were going right next to that, so we could trellis in between. And then over on this side, kind of the same thing. Just lines of 8 foot by 4 foot raised beds, trellises and everything. Planning according to sun and shadow, because we face south, if you can't tell. So all of that, when we marked it out, mapped it out, and again, we just started this year, so none of this is done, but we could have put 14 8 foot by 4 foot beds in the backyard, still leaving plenty of open space in the middle for the kids to play, leaving the trampoline, even including a fire pit, adding a small greenhouse for me to start, the compost corner in the back, and then the chicken coop. So with all of that, and still having a backyard for the kids to play and for the dogs, was it is completely possible. I've only got 3 right now, and the third, I'm going to get out of the sun, the third bed, I've just been using as kind of a compost pile. I cannot get rid of this hair. I'm going to shave this side of my head. Just get rid of that one little hair. But the third bed over there I built, and using that as like a compost pile, kind of amending the soil, getting it ready for overwintering for garlic. And super excited to try that. I'm a little nervous too that I'm going to be wasting a bunch of garlic because I don't know what I'm doing yet. But that's how we learn, right? So for those of you who have thought about, oh, I really want to grow my own food. I want to can. I want to, raise our own food and things like that. But we live in a subdivision. We have an HOA. We have this. We have that. Read your paperwork. Find how you can do it. We went to the township. We got a permit for these chickens. I think it cost me like $25 for that permit. And that permit, could I have said, okay, I'm going to ask for forgiveness instead of permission? Sure. But that permit helps protect me if any of my neighbors are like, hey, you can't have chickens here, or I don't like that, or I can say, I have a permit for that. I'm sorry you feel that way. Would you like some free eggs? Peace offering. So, but yeah, I mean, absolutely don't let the size of your land deter you from doing this. There are so many possibilities, and I had big dreams, big plans when I started that this year. Oh, I'm gonna have, I'm gonna build 10 beds and blah blah blah. And I'm kind of glad life got in the way and stopped me, because the 2 beds that I have, the amount of food that comes off of those, I mean, I was struggling to keep up, because every day I went out there in the morning and there was more food, more food, more food. And you can't just sit it on your counter and say, okay, well, I'll get to that when I get to that. You got to handle it now, or it's not going to be any good. So you have to dehydrate it. You got to figure out, how am I going to can it? Am I going to freeze it? And it was a good trial run for me this year. And I cannot wait until we start getting eggs. And I will be doing some more videos and explaining kind of some of the process that we go through. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and my journey and help make yours a little easier along the way. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see any more videos, don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a great day, guys.